there, happy Wednesday morning. We are halfway through this week. Whew, we're going to make it. I'm quite certain. I had a question come in, and I get asked this a lot regarding weekends. If you have been in my world at all for a while now, you know that the foundational thing that I teach all women that come into my signature planning and productivity courses is all about weekly planning. And it's all aligned with creating a weekly plan that actually keeps you from getting overcommitted, overbooked, overwhelmed. And so people will often ask me, how detailed do I plan my weekends? Am I outlining? I'm going to pull up my planner here for you right now. You'll see on this side, this is, during my work week, there's a lot of, very level detail of what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. So they ask, do I do that on my weekends? Because let's face it, we all have chores, stuff, things like that we're getting done over the weekends. So my short answer is yes, but sometimes no. And I'm going to explain that here. So I have two types of weekends. All right. Now, when I am talking about this, first I want to make the caveat. Let me know if you're watching this, if you are in a season of life, like let's say you have young kids who have a lot of weekend activities, right? Maybe they're soccer or year-round swimming and you've got a tournament for the weekend. I'm not talking about that kind of weekend where you have commitments and of course it's already planned out for you. All right. What I'm talking about are weekends where you're like, look at that. We have a Saturday with nowhere that we have to be, with no commitments, but we still have stuff we need to do, right? I do a lot of chores over the weekend. There might be some laundry, some yard work, depending upon seasonality, just what I call my COO of the household tasks. And I'm sure you know what I mean if you are the COO of your household, right? The emails, the forms, the school stuff, all those kinds of things. There's always some of that to be done over the weekend as well. So for me personally, I have two types of weekends outside of ones where it's like booked because of an event, a tournament, a trip, something like that. So one type is as a working mom, sometimes I very intentionally decide and make the choice to swap a weekday for a weekend day. What do I mean by that? Well, just recently we had a Monday off from school. I very intentionally decided to treat that Monday like a weekend. My daughter and I had a super fun day. And I said, you know what? Over the weekend, I'm actually going to treat half of Saturday as a work day. I only work about 4.5 hours every day anyway. So in that situation where I said, hey, I'm going to take Monday off, but I'm going to work for 4.5 hours on Saturday, I absolutely had very detailed plans of how I was spending those 4.5 hours to make sure that all of my work tasks were getting done in a stress-free way. So that's kind of scenario number one, where I am intentionally choosing to treat a weekend day with a chunk of time for work. Now, I don't do that very often. I'm usually only doing that because I'm swapping out a weekday for a weekend day. All right, I really intentionally make a conscious decision to not work on the weekends as much as possible. So now let's talk about the second kind of weekend where it's like, hey, the calendar is wide open, but I have stuff I need to get done, household stuff, life maintenance, all of that. Do I sit down and go, okay, Saturday, 9 to 11, I'm doing laundry. Then from 11 to 12, I'm doing yard work. No, I do not. I encourage others as well. I love having the freedom to kind of ebb and flow through my weekend in a way that feels good, but also making sure it's not Sunday at 6 o'clock and I'm like, oh, I didn't get anything done. And now I'm rolling into the week feeling stressed and anxious. So here's how I tackle my planning for just a typical kind of lazy weekend, if you will. I will make a list of the things that need to get done over the weekend. So I was actually went back and looked at the one that I did for last weekend. I had things ranging from some yard work to there was 3 errands that I needed to do. There was about an hour and a half of household COO computer time and a couple other small things in there. All in all, it was going to be about 5 to 5.5 hours of work. Now, how do I know that? This leads me to the second part of my weekend planning. So first is, here are the things that I'm deciding I need to get done this weekend. Next to each one of those, I actually jot down how long they're going to take. All right, because if you are operating from a list without how long it's going to take, how do you know if you're on track, right? You need to know how much time. So I knew rolling into the weekend, I was going to have about 5 hours of stuff to get done. Anything, I mean, yard work, I actually enjoy. It was a beautiful day. So it's a range of all kinds of things. But I also want to go where the wind takes me a little bit, honor my energy levels, and leave space for kind of spontaneous stuff with my family. So when I woke up Saturday morning, I was actually feeling kind of motivated to do some things. So I actually hopped in the car. I saw there were 3 errands to be done, and I said, I'm going to go do all of them at once because I know that's more efficient. So I was able to, in 1 hour, spend one of those 5 hours, get those things done. Then I just wasn't in the mood to do anything on my list. All right. And guess what? That's fine. Because in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, I still have about 4 more hours of stuff to do. Well, then as the day progressed, we decided as a family, hey, you know what? Tomorrow on Sunday, there's this thing that we all really want to go do. It'll be about a half a day, and we were all really excited about it. Well, now at that point, I know I get to have the conversation with myself to say, Megan, you're going to enjoy this so much more if the rest of your stuff for the weekend is done before you go do that really fun time on Sunday afternoon. Right. And this is why I love structure as freedom. I wanted the freedom to roll into that event knowing I am ready to go for next week. There's nothing left for me. So that was the motivation I needed to go knock out a couple things on the list, get 2 more hours of stuff done, and then know, hey, Sunday, mid-morning, before we roll out, I'm going to get the last little bit of stuff done on my list. So what I'm ultimately doing is I'm creating almost a just-in-time plan, if you will, but I'm always knowing my budget all weekend long. What this allows for is not feeling stressed all weekend going, how am I going to get it done? When am I going to get it done? Am I going to have enough time? By just taking the step up front to say, here are the things that I'm deciding need to get accomplished this weekend, and here's how long this group takes. Now I get to ebb and flow with that knowledge of making choices about when I'm going to do things. Just as if I handed you $100 and then gave you the freedom to go into a grocery store and say, hey, cruise around. Think about how you want to spend it, right? This kind of gives us that same freedom of choice, but it's just the right amount of structure. The structure here is knowing here's the amount of time that I'm going to need to dedicate to this. Now, you could be someone that prefers to do it all at the end of a Sunday, right? Everybody's different. You get to make those choices. And for me, I, in that moment, said, hey, I want to roll into that fun time with everything done. And as a family, we all agreed to that. So my daughter actually knocked out her homework on Saturday afternoon instead of waiting till Sunday, right? We're all learning this together to say, I think it would be a lot more enjoyable if we went out to that event on Sunday with everything ready to go for the next week, so that then and we did decide last minute, like, hey, let's grab dinner out while we're out and about. So I would encourage you to really think about, when do you need actual structured planning for your weekend, true structured, like the first scenario I gave you, right? Where I'm treating it almost like a work day. I've swapped days, versus a little bit more freedom in your structure. But again, notice an option I'm not giving is just a random task list with no thought to how long it would take and no kind of background path of how I'm going to get there. All right, so this is a way in which I can truly enjoy my time over the weekends, but I'm not feeling anxious about wondering when and how things are going to get done. So I would love to hear, how do you typically approach your weekends? Do you like just a blank slate? Do you look at a planner at all? Do you operate from a task list? And if so, is it working for you? All right, because I think it's really powerful, and we can hear all the different ways that people are navigating how they plan and execute kind of the task list over the weekend. All right, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. We are actually this week, at the time I'm recording this live, I am in the middle of a live event called the Top Boot Camp. Actually, I think for the next couple hours, you can still join it. So if you want to come check it out, just head over to thetopbootcamp.com. You can grab your $17 ticket and you can jump right in and watch the replay from Monday and Tuesday. It's 30 minutes each. And then today, I'm going to be diving into all things how to organize the onslaught of digital information coming at you all the time. It's a super powerful day today. All right, friends, have a great one. I will see you back here soon.